If you want to get a lot of people very angry at you, and you're in the health profession, it's fairly simple. Begin to cure incurable diseases.
It would ruin the economy. Billions of dollars.
Cancer is one of the richest multi-billion-dollar industries in the world, and every cancer patient is a commodity.
The huge pharmaceutical companies have everybody in their pocket, from the president on down to the senator's representative. Everybody gets paid.
Something's terribly wrong when you treat cancer and your hair falls out and you vomit. This is truly medieval.
People in the United States and developed countries who are treated for cancer don't even die of cancer. They die of the treatment of cancer.
Many years from now, people look back at this time and wonder what kind of Neanderthals we were.
A prophet many years ago, he said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge."
You ask an oncologist what causes cancer, they say, well, we don't know. But we in integrative and alternative medicine know, because we're reversing it by getting rid of what causes it.
We have patients that were told that were going to die in 6 months or a year. They're alive after 20 years with excellent quality of life.
Yes, you can heal so-called chronic degenerative diseases, so-called incurable diseases. It's not a big problem.
We have treatments for cancer that are astounding. Even end-stage cancers are reversible.
Anybody ever tells you your body turned on you, slap them in the face and walk out. Your body will never turn on you. Your body loves you. You have 10,000 trillion cells and they all have a job to perform and they love performing it.
And if you help along and support your body's innate ability to heal, cancer is curable now.
Welcome to Spiral Up with Ava Marie, and today we have an extraordinary testimonial for you. This man actually has healed himself of a quote-unquote, according to many doctors and scientists, a untreatable disease as far as winning the fight for life, and it's cancer, the big C. He healed himself of cancer of the prostate, and also has declared that this will heal any kind of cancer, that there have been proven studies, clinical studies that support this, and I am so excited that we have this opportunity to interview this man today and share his testimonial with the world. It's revolutionary. Absolutely revolutionary what you're doing here today, Dennis, and I applaud you for your courage to come forward and share your testimony and your science, and I just want to thank you for being here. And let's start out with a little history so people can get to know you a little better. I believe that you're a biochemist, is that correct?
Yes.
And you graduated from?
University of Houston.
University of Houston. I won't ask you what year, because I don't know if that's legal. Anyway, and you were in cancer research for 10 years?
Right. I spent 10 years at the world-famous MD Anderson Hospital in Houston. I did my graduate work at Baylor Medical School, and so it was an interesting time to be studying and practicing in the field of medical research, and especially in cancer.
And why did you decide that you wanted to make a career as a scientist in cancer research specifically? Why did you embark on that career?
Oh, well, it started in high school, actually. I had got to take an elective in physiology. And it was so thrilling learning about physiology that it was just an adventure in learning about the body. And it captivated me totally. So it was a natural thing when I went to college, is to major in chemistry and take major works in biology and do the math and the physics. And it was just a really stimulating field. And so to have the opportunity to work in cancer research after taking my degree was really thrilling.
And I understand that you had some family members that had cancer challenges as well. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the DNA in your family tree?
Well, all the male members of my family have or had or lived with and died with prostate cancer. So if there is a genetic element to this, I guess I was destined to have this, even though all my life I tried to keep good health, good exercise, practice meditation and yoga, and avoid, these horrible diseases. But even though a lifetime of good practice didn't keep this away, so if there's a genetic element, then I was just destined to have this. So.
And how did you feel when you first heard that you had prostate cancer? What was your innate feeling and response, not only to the doctor, but to yourself?
Well, it was a shattering experience because everything that I had done all my life had failed. Everything that I was supposed to do, good nutrition, everything, didn't keep the cancer away. Mm-hmm. So it was really harsh reality to face.
And did you decide to go with the protocol that your doctor advised right off when you heard about this verdict of cancer of the prostate? What did you do?
Well, when I got my diagnosis, we naturally planned a traditional approach to treatment, which is chemotherapy and radiation. And so we were going to embark on that, and so in preparation for that, I had already gotten marked and shaved, ready for radiation, until I was complaining to a friend of mine about this cancer problem, and she says, "Oh, well, cannabis cures cancer." And I said, "What? Are you kidding me?" And she said, "No, this is true." And I said, "How come I didn't know about it?" Right. And she said, "Well, research it. You find out." So I did. I went to a lot of different resources to search this out, and I found a huge amount of science, of peer-reviewed scientific articles about how cannabis kills cancer. And so I thought, oh, well, of course, this is what I want to do.
Wait a minute. Where do our viewers find these articles so that they can research it as well?
Anybody who wants to know about this, all you have to do is Google "cannabis cures cancer," and that will take you everywhere you need to get to.
And there's scientific proof, clinical studies, proving that cannabis kills cancer cells.
Right.
How come you didn't know about this before? How come we didn't know about this?
Well, when you go
secret.
to, a traditional medical model, they do what they do, and that's what they know about, and that's all they had to offer me. And so I was really on my own to choose a different path.
Well, this is so outside the box.
Yeah, it is.
And you were in the box, working in the box, schooled from inside the box.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're catapulted into this whole new paradigm of belief, right? Mm-hmm. Because the clinical studies gave you the scientific proof that you required as a scientist to believe. So you were stretching out of your existing paradigm, catapulted into a whole new paradigm of belief because of the scientific studies gave you the belief that this will be the answer for your cancer.
Yeah, it was with that confidence of knowing the research that I had nothing to lose. And besides, there was always the backup of the traditional approach. And if the cannabis didn't work out, I could sure go get radiation, no problem. So I thought I'll do this first, and I had the cooperation of my doctor to go through this herbal treatment, if you will, and so it worked out.
Congratulations. This is revolutionary. I understand from talking with you earlier that cannabis cures all cancers.
That's what
brain cancer,
that's what
colon
the literature
cancer,
says.
Pancreatic cancer?
Mm-hmm. It's simply because if we understand how the cannabinoids work in the body with the immune system and the cancer cells, that you see that it doesn't matter what kind it is. This is a universal process using the metabolic pathways that are built into the human system, that if you ingest these cannabinoids, that it will kill the cancer cells. That's just what it does, and it does it every time.
Were there side effects to this protocol?
Taking large amounts of cannabinoids made me sleepy. That was the primary side effect. So I took it at night so that I could just sleep through it. And so I didn't really notice it. During the day, I noticed it for about a week until my body was able to acclimate to these high doses of cannabinoids. But once that happened, then I really didn't feel it.
And you were able to resume life as usual. You could drive a car, you could work, communicate with people over the phone and the internet.
I felt the same. It was just life as normal, only at night I was taking a drop of the cannabinoid oil.
A drop?
A drop, one drop.
How did you know exactly how much to take?
Rick Simpson is a man who developed the protocol for actually distilling the oil from the plant and using it therapeutically. And he's been doing this for years and years. And so it's a fully mature protocol that has seen many, many patients with lots of different kinds of cancer. And he has fine-tuned this over the years to where it's very clear. And so I simply followed the protocol. I did exactly what the protocol said. And if the viewers want to see what this is, just Google Rick Simpson. And that will take you to all the references. He has a video called Run from the Cure. And in that video, it's an hour-long video, but in that he gives the full protocol, shows how to make it, and advises how to take it.
How to make it?
Yeah.
Did you have to make this yourself?
No, fortunately we live in California where medical cannabis is legal, so all I had to do was go to a dispensary, first get a medical permission card, then go to a dispensary to purchase the oil.
Are doctors giving out these medical prescription cards? What are they called? What kind of card is it?
I don't know what it's called. It's called a cannabis card is all I know.
I see.
But once you can show that you have a medical condition that will be helped by the cannabinoids, then you can legally purchase the products from a dispensary.
So you have to go with probably an ID card.
Yeah.
And your medical records from medical AMA doctor.
Right.
And you just take your records and you take your ID and you go where? Well,
if you go to a dispensary, they know what doctors are willing to do this.
I see. So not all doctors are willing to do this.
Well, a lot of doctors are not familiar with it. But there are some doctors who are very knowledgeable about it and can make that kind of clinical judgment.
And does our viewer have to be discerning, careful about which dispensary they go to get the cannabinoid oil, because there's no regulation on this?
Well, if you ask for what you want, they will be able to advise you. What I've heard is that the employees of these dispensaries are fairly knowledgeable, and so just ask whatever you want.
And can you have the oil tested to be sure that it is exactly according to Rick Simsons' design protocol, that it is exactly what you need? Because what if you got some weak oil and it wasn't strong enough, or it wasn't the right derivative?
Mm-hmm.
How would you know? You would know. So where could you have your oil tested?
There is a lab here in California called CW Labs that specializes in the various strains of analyzing the content of various strains of cannabis to give you a clear picture of
Are
what
they
the
in
profile.
Oakland? I think I heard
Oakland.
of Oakland.
Yeah.
CW Labs.
In Oakland.
So,
and dispensaries have their products tested there.
Wonderful.
So you will have a certification in the dispensary about the content.
See. So, what did you do, and how long did it take for you to be cured of cancer through cannabinoid oil?
I started taking the oil about 9 months ago. Mm-hmm. And I took it for 3 months.
How much did you take a day?
A drop.
How big of a drop?
The size of a rice grain is the way that Rick Simpson says. He says if you will take an amount the size of a rice grain.
Minuscule amount.
It's a minuscule amount, but it's a one-trick pony. It does one job and it kills cancer, and it just doesn't need to do anything else. So a small amount, a little drop will do you.
Could you overdose on it and hurt yourself?
As far as I know, nobody has ever died from cannabis. It's a completely safe product. And if you take too much so that you get too sleepy, you just sleep through it. And you wake up and you're refreshed and everything is normal.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you said there are no side effects other than feeling a little sleepy from
that was the only side effect that I felt.
The cannabinoid oil. Mm-hmm. Now, from the scientific perspective, can you explain to the average listener, maybe in layman's terms, so that the average non-scientist can understand the scientific proof of how cannabinoid oil works on a cancer cell?
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. First, let me talk about the normal system, the normal immune system, how it works against cancer. Normally, the immune system, we make cancer cells all the time, just when the DNA goes haywire, you get an out-of-control cell. And if it aggregates, then it forms a tumor. But it starts off as a single cell with an aberrant DNA. Well, the immune system knows about this. And what it does is the endocannabinoid system, which is part of the immune system, goes to work on it. Now, an interesting thing about cancer cells is that when a cell goes cancerous, then an increase in the number of receptors for cannabinoids increases in the cell. So when the body's own immune system senses this, then the endocannabinoid that the body uses is called anandamide. And anandamide mates with these receptors and stimulates the production of a chemical called ceramide. And ceramide is like the SEAL team. It goes in and kills the target.
Wow.
And the way that it does this is very technical, and I'm not going to go into it, but...
What's the smart bomb idea? I remember you said it sort of acts like a smart bomb on the cancer cell.
Well, when ceramide is produced in the cancer cell, that it kills off the mitochondria, which produces energy for the cell. So once the mitochondria is dead, then the cell can no longer survive.
Amazing.
All right. Now, when the immune system becomes overstressed through illness or injury or stress, then it gets behind on killing cancer cells.
It's weakened. It's compromised.
Yeah, it's compromised. It's weakened. And it doesn't take much to get behind on killing cancer cells. So, if you develop a tumor and all of these cancer cells, then you take a cannabinoid supplement. Then these cannabinoids go and in the circulation and mate with these receptors of the cancer cells, which produces a flood of ceramide. Now, because the DNA of cancer cells is distorted, it's damaged, the ceramide senses this and knows that this cell is dying. And the job of ceramide in the normal body is to kill damaged and dying cells. So it senses that the cancer cell is abnormal.
It's like a scavenger.
That's what it is, yeah.
Like in the ocean, they have scavengers that clean it up, or vultures in the earth, you know, that clean up the...
Well, the cancer cell, it seems like, knows that it's abnormal and knows that it needs to die. And so that's why this increase in number of receptors on the cancer cell. So when the additional cannabinoids reach the cancer cell, it locks into it, sends the ceramide out to destroy the mitochondria, which starves the cell to get together. So
amazing.
It is an amazing process, and there's a lot of science on this pathway. There are a lot of researchers that are working on this in Europe. Not so much.
What countries in Europe would you say most? Germany or?
Well, Italy. I see a lot of publications coming from Italy, and several other countries are doing a lot of research on this. And fortunately, a lot of the scientific articles have been translated into English.
Marvelous.
So there is a huge...
Well, we need to get rolling here, right? We need to get on the bandwagon here too, in the United States. We need to wake up, be awakened to this.
That would be good to put...
People are suffering from cancer for years. My great-grandmother died of cancer. And I would imagine that most families know of a family member that has died of cancer.
Well, for 3 months, I took my daily dose of 1 drop.
It took 3 months to get rid of your cancer?
Well, in 3 months, I went back for my next exam. And they found that the prostate had reduced in size by almost half. So the urologist told me, he said, the tumor is gone. And this is really stunning that in 3 months, the aggressive metastasizing tumor was gone.
And you had no radiation,
no radiation,
no chemo,
no surgery. But I did have another exam, an independent exam, just to make sure, and that doctor found that there was still tumor cells. And so I continued the course, and these are metastatic lesions that had not been killed yet. So I stayed on it for 3 more months. So the
I
total
see.
course was 6 months. And then the biopsy result after 6 months was completely clear of cancer.
So it really took you 6 months to be cured of prostate cancer. What stage cancer were you
Stage
when you
4.
started? Well, that's very advanced.
It is very advanced, and it was very aggressive.
Weren't you told by a doctor that you may not be with us much longer if you didn't start treatment of some kind of treatment? I think he wanted to do, what, radiation? And cautioned you that you may not be living after, what, 6 or 8 weeks if you didn't
Well,
start something soon?
He was a little nervous about it, but I didn't hold him responsible. And if my herbal therapy did not do what we wanted, then we could still go and do the other treatments.
But you did not elect to do both at the same time.
That's correct.
Would you recommend to our viewers that is there any complication in doing radiation or chemo at the same time that you're incorporating the cannabinoid oil in your cancer healing challenge?
Not at all. There's a large number of articles about people who also had adjunct treatments of chemotherapy and radiation and surgery, and they were doing this cannabinoids as well.
So you can incorporate it into...
Yeah, it can be part of the treatment plan if you want to do that. But I didn't see any reason to do that for myself, and I can only talk about myself. I wouldn't recommend any particular course to anybody, but all I can do is report.
Well, I'll tell you,
did.
if somebody told me I had cancer, I'd be doing everything and anything I could think of, to try to get rid of it. Meditation, diet, maybe I'd do chemo and radiation and at the same time as the cannabinoid oil. Because, if you get a doctor telling you that you have cancer and that they might say to you, because right now my son-in-law is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and they gave him 6 to 8 weeks to live with chemo. That means he's going to die even after 8 weeks of chemo. I said, what's that?
Yeah.
So he's outside the box right now going to a clinic in Reno, Dr. Forsythe's clinic, Century Wellness, and 3 months later, he's still living and he's stronger. And now he's going to start the cannabinoid oil. But, well, we could just continue and continue and continue on this, but this is revolutionary. And if people want to suffer and they want to take the hard road, they can. But if they want to try an alternative route, they have a choice. No matter what kind of cancer you have.
Right.
You have another choice, and it's pain-free, no side effects. The cannabinoid oil only targets the cancer cell.
That's correct.
It does not weaken the immune system. If anything, it sounds like it supports it.
It does. It is an immune system support simply because the endocannabinoid system is already set up. The cannabinoids and the body's own anandamide are the same. They act on these receptors. So when the amount that you get from the body is not enough, you can supplement it with its counterpart from the cannabinoids.
Marvelous.
It is marvelous.
And thank you so much for your testimony and
You're
your
welcome.
time, and you're a humanitarian. You're coming forward, standing in your truth. And I know it's because you're a highly spiritual person and you have a tremendous love for God and creation and the earth. And we are extremely grateful to the earth, aren't we, for cannabinoid oil.
To be sure.
Dennis, for our viewers, can you recommend a website that they can go to obtain more information on cannabinoid oil?
Yes, I've put up a website that tells this story that also has an extensive bibliography of references that you can go to find all the information that you need on this treatment. And I think that you can see this website on the screen.
Thank you. Bless you for sharing this with the world. And I think it was you that said to me, if you want to be pain-free and you want to be happy, you need to give this your serious consideration if you have cancer.
That's true. This was a very non-traumatic, very easy way to go through curing cancer.
Thank you. Bless you, dear.
You're welcome, Ava. It's so great to be here and get to tell this story with you. I appreciate it.
It's going to help a lot of people. Thank you.
So. You're welcome.
Thank you for being with us today. Spiral Up with Ava Marie is about raising consciousness to the all good and having compassion for ourselves, healing ourselves, compassion for the earth and each other. I hope that you spiral up in your life.
When people have to suffer because of money or people making money or whatever, that is just not right.
When the doctor can't cure you and you want to get cured, you're going to try anything, aren't you? I was willing to give it a shot, yes. I'd give it 2 shots.
Change your life. Come and take some real medicine. Medicine that is safe and medicine that works for a change.
My name is Rick Simpson. I live at 344 Little Forks Road, just outside of Macan, Nova Scotia. I'm here to tell you about the most medicinal plant known to man, hemp. Oils made from the hemp plant are the most medicinally active substances ever found in nature. Up until about 85 years ago, hemp medicines were widely used all over the world. Many drug companies in the 1800s and early 1900s produced hemp medicines for decades. Hemp is a plant, and therefore it cannot be patented. To drug companies, no patent means no money, hence no interest in producing this drug. When you examine bud from the hemp plant, you can see that it is covered in resin. This resin makes the bud appear to be covered in frost. This resin is the medicine. When collected and processed properly, the resulting oil is an effective cure or control for practically any disease known to man, even cancer. We have supplied this oil to dozens of people with cancer. Even people who were diagnosed with terminal cancer by our medical system now have a clean bill of health after treatment with hemp medicine. When working with this medicine, medical miracles are a common occurrence. This oil has brought many people right off their deathbeds. Due to the restrictions put in place by our government against this medicine, we feel that it is our duty to inform the public how they can make their own. In reality, this medicine should be produced on a grand scale in a controlled environment, using the highest quality starting material. Producing hemp medicine in this manner would stabilize the potency of this medication, plus any danger associated with this medicine's production could be eliminated. High-potency hemp oil can be produced right in your own home or workshop. Later in this video, we will show you how this can be accomplished observing simple rules of safety. We do not approve of or condone this method due to the safety issues involved, and we bear no responsibility if this information is misused. If you or someone you care about has a life-threatening medical condition that our medical system has failed to help, there is a very good chance that hemp oil is the answer to your problems. There are 3 different ways to use the oil as a medication. You can ingest it, you can vaporize it, or you can use it topically. But for internal diseases like cancer, lung cancer, that type of thing, the internal treatment works magnificently.
Well, I've had 4 open heart surgeries and probably 5 pacemakers. I've been through the mill as far as medical stuff goes. And I started taking this because my father was taking it for his cancer, which he doesn't have anymore, but this came along. It works perfect. It lets me do a day's work, or as much as I can safely. Let's face it, after 4 open hearts, you are still limited to what you can do, but I go all day. The wife and I 4-wheeler all over the place. It virtually gave me my life back without the pain.
I have suffered from major depression since the age of 27. I suffer from anxiety attacks. I've also had 3 back injuries with constant aching in my back, and that for years. And when I took this medicine, it seemed to take the aching from my back. It seems to cut down my panic attacks. And as late as I keep going on, it just seems to get better and better, my depression and anxiety attacks.
I had a huge mole on my shoulder that was black and had a crusty, it wasn't a natural mole, and I'd been sort of concerned about it. And so actually knowing from Rick mentioning that it cured skin cancer and removed stuff like that, I decided to put a little oil on my mole and see if it worked. So I put a little Band-Aid over it. I only applied it for like 3 days and then another 4, and then in 2 weeks it was completely gone.
Well, I had skin cancer. Melanoma cancer, they told me. I was treated time after time, and I was burnt several times. I call it burnt. They have another name for it, but anyway, they burnt me several times, and it wasn't doing no good. All the salve they gave me, I put it on and put it on. So I ran across this fellow they called Ricky Simpson. Well, you've seen my face. I know it's all wrinkled up, but there's no big holes in it.
I used hemp oil for a number of conditions. Migraine headaches, cyst on my ovary, arthritis, bad skin allergies, snoring, upset stomach, diarrhea, something wrong with my bowels, and helped with every condition that I had.
I had 2 months to live. I was cashing in, I didn't care then, and got a hold of Rick, and Rick explained how this stuff works. The chemo and the radiation just kills everything inside of you. It doesn't give you a chance to live. And then when I look at my hemp oil, that's why I am sitting here today telling you that hemp oil does work.
Skin conditions, cancer, diabetes, infections, glaucoma, arthritis, chronic pain, burns, ulcers, warts and moles, any condition involving mutating cells. Migraine headaches, asthma, insomnia, anxiety and depression. It works to regulate your weight. It heals scar tissue. It rejuvenates vital organs. In fact, I would like someone to show me what it can't heal.
When we began, Rick asked me to find out if there was any detrimental effects to the hemp oil. As we searched, we couldn't find any, and the research kept coming back with all the good aspects of the medicine. And as we kept looking, then we ran into Dr. Guzman in Spain, who's done research since 1999 into the hemp oil. The International Cannabinoid Research Society has been researching it for 17 years. They have research papers from various researchers and research organizations, including Health Canada. Well, in our research, we haven't been able to find anything that appears detrimental. Everything is beneficial from the oil. Cannabis and hemp traditionally have been used to treat alcoholics and recovering drug addicts, and it hasn't changed over the years. They're still using it today in some cases, but most medical facilities don't recognize it. I believe they don't recognize the product because of the disinformation we've been handed over the years. It's touted as an illicit drug rather than a medicine. In the research that we have, the most amazing part of the product is the medicinal value to it. Especially in the eastern countries, yet mainstream medicine refuses to recognize the validity of it.
To anyone that would say that I am nothing but a high-class drug dealer, to that I would just have to laugh. I mean, drug dealers, they sell it for a big price and they make the money. I've been giving it away since 2003. Well, I'd have to be the stupidest drug dealer in history to give it away, now wouldn't I? How do you make any money if you're giving the stuff away?
Well, that's exactly right.
I'm just trying to help people, Christian. I mean, that's all this is about. And I want people to know how to heal themselves. In 1975, I was listening to CKDH radio when the announcer came on with a report of THC from the marijuana and/or hemp plant killing cancer cells. 3 years previously, in 1972, I had watched my 25-year-old cousin die a horrible death from cancer. So when I heard this report, it certainly caught my attention. But time goes by, and I never heard any more reports, so I assumed that the report I had heard could not be true, or the system would be using THC to cure cancer. In 1997, I received a serious head injury at work. The doctors put me on prescription drugs, but these drugs did nothing to alleviate my condition, and many of the drugs had horrible side effects. In late 1998, I watched an episode of The Nature of Things entitled Reefer Madness 2. Dr. David Suzuki interviewed many people with serious medical conditions who had been using hemp as a treatment. The results were amazing. After seeing this program, I purchased some hemp and tried it. Just smoking hemp did more for my medical condition than all those pills the doctors were giving me, and I told them so. I asked many doctors for a prescription for hemp, but was refused. All the doctors would do is tell me that hemp was bad for the lungs, and to stay away from hemp. It's still under study. Even my family doctor said it was bad for the lungs. So I asked him what he thought about me taking the essential oil from the hemp plant and ingesting it orally as a medication. The doctor agreed that this would be a much more medicinal way to use this drug, but would still not give me a prescription, so I could acquire this drug legally. In 2001, my family doctor informed me that there was nothing more they could do. They had nothing left to try on me, so I was on my own. I continued producing and taking hemp oil as my only medication. Slowly, my thinking processes cleared from the effects of all those chemical drugs the doctors had given me, and everyone around me saw the improvement in my condition. The oil had worked wonders for me. In late 2002, my family doctor examined 3 areas on my skin which he presumed to be skin cancer. One was close to my right eye, another on my left cheek, and another on my chest. In January 2003, the cancer close to my right eye was surgically removed, and they were going to schedule me to have the other 2 cancers removed at a later date. About a week after the surgery by my eye, the area was infected and very angry looking. I was examining where the surgery had been done when the report I had heard on the radio in 1975 popped back into my mind. I knew the oil I produced had concentrated THC in it, so I put some oil on 2 bandages and applied them to the other 2 areas of skin cancer. In 4 days, both cancers were gone. Needless to say, I was very excited about the hemp oil curing my skin cancer, so I went to my doctor's office for a copy of my pathology report, which stated that I had basal cell carcinoma. I informed the receptionist that the cancer had returned and that I had cured it and the other 2 cancers with hemp oil. The reaction of the receptionist mystified me. She went rigid, saying, "The doctor will not go there. The doctor will not prescribe this." I was standing in my doctor's office telling them that I cured my cancer with hemp oil, and they didn't want to hear it? Foolishly, at the time, I thought the system wanted a cure for cancer. Seeing the receptionist's reaction to the hemp oil left me feeling very uneasy. It felt like the Twilight Zone. In April 2003, I contacted the Pain Management Center in Halifax. I had been told by a friend that the center might be able to provide me with a license to possess hemp. All I got was a recorded message stating that there was a 21-month waiting period and that you must be referred by your physician. Now where did that leave me? My family doctor wouldn't even talk about hemp medicine.
Big-time controversy brewing in a small town over this. Is it a cure-all or contraband?
Now here's somebody dying from cancer, they're not dying anymore. Here's somebody that had something else, well, they're cured. And this is what's doing it.
But in a small Nova Scotia town, one man is trying to get the word out about what he says are the healing properties of hemp oil. But as Ross Lord explains, where he's spreading the word has created a major headache with no cure in sight.
In McCann, Nova Scotia, this oil is gaining a reputation as a miracle drug.
That's the cure right there.
Oil extracted from marijuana plants. Rick Simpson has been making it and giving it to friends and neighbors. He calls it hemp oil. Others know it as weed oil. In small doses, he says, it makes you well without getting you high.
Hemp oil containing THC has been touted as an effective treatment for many diseases, including cancer. But distributing THC, the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, is illegal. And that has some Nova Scotia users worried their supply of medicinal hemp oil will disappear. Global's Ray Bradshaw has the story.
I'm used to it.
Hemp oil is being used by some people in the McCann area of Nova Scotia to help in the treatment of cancer. Now they're worried their hemp oil will be taken away.
People are being very scared of the RCMP coming in their home and taking their medicine from them. And the whole community itself is living in fear down here, including my family.
That's because the hemp oil Rick Simpson is making contains THC, an illegal substance. He says there's medical proof that THC kills cancer cells. Rick Dwyer says Simpson's hemp oil cured his father's cancer and other diseases.
It took the fluid off his lungs. It repaired the prostate. It did so many things for him. He doesn't even take his insulin now for his diabetes because it controls his diabetes.
Amherst RCMP told us they won't likely track down people who use hemp oil for medicinal purposes. But the RCMP say it is illegal to provide people with hemp oil containing THC, whether or not the supplier is paid.
Simpson grew marijuana on his property and made hemp oil from it. This fall, RCMP confiscated the plants, but didn't arrest or charge him.
They took it here, so what's to stop them from going house to house?
Simpson says without marijuana to make hemp oil, he's been unable to supply people. He's hoping the attitude toward the drug will soon turn around.
People are dying for no damn reason. I'd like to see the most medicinal plant in the world just get the recognition it deserves.
For Global News in McCann, this is Ray Bradshaw reporting.
I met a girl at the McCann Legion who said this guy, Rick Simpson, had cured her of cancer. So I asked the girl if I could meet him. And so she told him, and Mr. Simpson came to the Legion. At the time, he told me he had discovered that he could cure skin cancer and diabetic ulcers with a medicinal oil called hemp oil.
And I took this man as sincere. Besides that, his father was he told me his father was a veteran, and I felt an obligation to check his story out as a veteran's child. So he took me with him, and I investigated it as I should have. And he took me to these people, and sure enough, these people were all saying that he had cured them up. He brought forward the evidence and the proof, and our executive and president and all of us had agreed that we have to do something. I mean, people are dying needlessly and suffering needlessly. So we held a meeting, and we discussed that we would put it in the paper, which the president and the treasurer signed the letter, and we put it in the paper asking for an honest and open review of this medicine. And we started writing letters to Provincial Command, as well as we sent a tape. I spoke to the president of Provincial Command 3 times, telling them to please come up and you know, at least come up and look at this and direct us here. And so that they refused to actually address the issue. And as our members and executive members, I mean, people were dying all around us and people didn't know. And so we decided we had to do something in that. And so that's when we proceeded to take the direction we did. And that direction was to call in these politicians, our health professionals, and our enforcement professionals, and all the people who should have been contacted over this issue. And when we did, we wrote them a letter, and we stated to come to this meeting. We would show you the evidence, the human evidence, scientific evidence, and the medical evidence. And that's when they come in and shut our Royal Canadian Legion down. What was really shocking was how they did it.
There's a battle brewing between a tiny Legion branch in northern Nova Scotia and the Legion Command.
The doors are locked here at the Royal Canadian Legion in McCann. Even past President Rick Dwyer can't get into the building. The charter has been pulled and the executive suspended because of their controversial support of the use of hemp oil as medicine.
And as Royal Canadian Legion members, for us to sit here while people were dying and suffering horribly and us knowing that this worked, I don't see where there's any honor to that.
Dwyer's view of the oil changed after his 82-year-old father started using it. He believes it has helped, even though the oil is not endorsed by the medical community. Dozens of people in McCann have been using the oil, distributed by Rick Simpson. He says the legal and medical communities are against him and his discovery.
But the Royal Canadian Legion, and if you read their books and what they're supposed to stand for, it seemed to me that this is the right organization to bring this out.
The Nova Scotia Nunavut Command of the Legion says it can't be used as a soapbox to distribute any political message, especially one involving illegal drugs. Steve Wessel says what the local branch is doing could damage the integrity and reputation of the Legion.
Basically, that's stating a policy. They're saying that the Royal Canadian Legion is in favor of this through their use of our organization, and that contravenes our general bylaw.
Legion Command will appoint a new management committee to replace the suspended executive. Rick Dwyer can't believe it.
Well, what greater integrity or honor for the Royal Canadian Legion to speak up on behalf of all the men, women, and children who are suffering.
Wessel says Legion Command is considering further disciplinary action against the executive here, but a final decision has not been made yet. Meanwhile, Dwyer says he doesn't care much about that. He's just glad he did the right thing. Dan McIntosh, CTV News, McCann.
The McCann branch of the Royal Canadian Legion was so impressed it hosted meetings like this one, aimed at spreading the word about hemp oil. But when they planned a big public meeting, higher-ups at the Legion shut them down.
Provincial Command came here the day of the meeting, and they come in, they locked the doors, and then I come into the yard, and I had 2 RCMP officers here that told me I was not allowed on the property.
They are using the Royal Canadian Legion, its name, its insignias, and the buildings as a platform to promote the use of hemp oil as a medicinal drug.
I don't care if this medicine comes from a tomato plant, a potato plant, or a hemp plant. If the medicine's safe and helps and works, why not use it?
For Rick Dwyer, it's an emotional issue. One of the testaments to hemp oil's healing power is his father, a military veteran suffering from lung cancer.
And this last time I was in, I didn't know it, but they said I was going to die in 24 hours, but I didn't. So I took the oil and everything worked out right.
But the Legion isn't budging. They've suspended the entire executive of this branch, along with any activities planned for the building, until they install a new management team.
There is no provincial or federal regulation which states that this marijuana can be grown and produced into hemp oil for medicinal purposes. And therefore, it's illegal as far as the province is concerned. And the Royal Canadian Legion does not back illegal operations.
Simpson has had trouble with the law. The RCMP confiscated 1,600 marijuana plants from his backyard last year. Plants he claims were grown for medicinal purposes. A court case is unresolved, and so are questions within the Legion about whether hemp oil is medicine or menace.
That goes against the general bylaws of the Royal Canadian Legion.
What I did, I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of it.
And for now, since the Legion is the town's only meeting place, getting the word out about hemp oil will prove to be more difficult. In McCann, Nova Scotia, this is Global National's Ross Lord reporting.
Because they had us under martial law, we couldn't make a decision except for the 4 management committee members who I feel betrayed all the other members. They come in, they took our freedom of speech away. We weren't allowed to talk about why they shut us down. So why were they there? I mean, when you shut a Royal Canadian Legion down, you owe the members and the executive and at least an explanation of why you shut them down. And if they shut us down over a cure for cancer, then who's doing the right thing, us or them?
Canada is in a cancer epidemic.
I had to blame somebody.
Their silence is killing us.
Part of the natural process of life.
A chemical is innocent until it's proven guilty.
It's not that simple.
When I first got diagnosed, it was the why me. You know, it's not in my family. I've tried to be healthy. I eat my veggies. I exercise a lot, and I try to live pretty clean lifestyle.
Shopping for healthy foods, eh?
Yeah. We know all those things. Those things are great, but there must be other things going on. It's not about me. It's why is it now 1 in 2 who have this stupid disease, and what are we doing about it?
Good to see you, Wendy. How are you?
Dr. Sam Epstein, he's a professor at the University of Chicago, and he's written this book called Cancergate. He's very outspoken about what we're not being told. He's a pathologist with solid science behind him.
There is now a growing and a critical demand for the role of corporate social responsibility for winning the losing cancer war. The facts are this. These are clear data showing that Canada is in a cancer epidemic. Nearly 1 in 2 men and more than 1 in 3 women are getting cancer in their lifetime.
This is what Canadians are told about prevention, the 7 steps to health.
The Canadian Cancer Society have ignored or trivialized these concerns and told the public if you get cancer, it's your own fault. You smoke too much, which is actually right, I'm not smoking. Or you drink too much, or you're obese, or you don't exercise enough. It's a lack of healthy lifestyle. It's your fault when you get cancer.
And
it's not because we have taken no action to reduce avoidable exposures to carcinogens.
Whose fault is it?
It is the fault of the Canadian cancer establishment, who have not informed the public. The consumer has to realize 2 things: that their basic rights as Canadian citizens is being denied and challenged by the government, by the cancer societies.
But they're there to save lives, the Canadian Cancer Society.
The more money you spend on cancer, the more cancer you get. And the reason why is there's been virtually no movement in the field of prevention.
So what are we spending all the money on?
Well, we're spending the money on screening, diagnosis, and treatment. In other words, damage control.
Drugs.
You wait till they get the cancer, and then you try and treat it. As such, the more drugs are bought, the higher the profit. Now, the more disease there is, the greater the profit.
I'm in Paris because there's a huge international conference here full of some of the biggest drug companies in the world who are pitching their latest cancer treatments. And cancer is a huge business worth billions of dollars, and they get a big chunk of that. So I want to ask them what they're doing to fight the cancer epidemic. A big part of the story is about money. Obviously, there are limited amounts that Canada can spend on cancer, and at the moment, the biggest chunk of that money goes towards the drugs and the treatments. Obviously, big bucks at stake at the pharmaceutical conference. And they kept talking about, oh, there's so much stuff in the pipeline. What is your company doing to fight cancer? What are you doing to fight cancer?
It helps to feel better when you have chemotherapy.
So how's business?
Great.
How's business?
Business is right.
So how big a part of your business is cancer drugs now?
It's 80%.
Got drugs in breast cancer, drugs in colorectal cancer.
We're a cancer company, yeah. Cancer treatment company.
Do you have anyone in your family who has
With cancer? My father.
Oh, really? What
He died.
Sativa strains produce an oil that is a very good antidepressant and tends to energize a person. But most of the hemp oil I produce comes from indica strains. Indica strains tend to relax a person and give them more sleep. Rest and sleep are part of the healing process. Place the starting material, preferably good bud, in a plastic container. Dampen the bud material in the container with the solvent you are using. Then crush the bud material. After the bud has been crushed, add more solvent until the material is completely covered. I generally use pure naphtha, but 99% isopropyl alcohol also works well as a solvent, as do many other substances. Work and stir the contents to let the THC dissolve into the solvent. This process takes 2 to 3 minutes. Drain the solvent from the starting material and put it through a coffee filter. The solvent now resembles the color of gasoline due to the presence of the hemp oil in the solvent. Make sure the area where you are going to boil the solvent off is very well ventilated. The idea is to carry the fumes away from the boiling solvent to reduce the danger of an explosion or fire. Special care must be taken to avoid red-hot elements or a spark of any kind that could ignite the fumes from the solvent. I have found that an electric rice cooker boils the solvent off very effectively. Bring the solvent oil mix in the rice cooker to a boil. Use a fan to carry the fumes from the solvent away. As the solvent boils off, continue adding more solvent oil mix until it is gone. As the level in the boiling pot comes down for the last time, add 8 to 10 drops of water. Since the boiling point of water is much higher than the boiling point of the solvent used, this water that was added allows the solvent to be released as the oil thickens. As the last of the solvent is being released, it is a good idea to lift the rice cooker and keep the contents in the cooker moving. This helps release any remaining solvent and also protects the oil from too much heat. At no time should the temperature of the oil go over 290 degrees Fahrenheit. Gently pour the oil from the rice cooker into a small metal container. Put this container with the oil into a dehydrator, or put the container on a gentle heating device such as a coffee warmer. It may take a few hours to evaporate the water off the oil. In the end, there should be no bubbling or other activity on the surface of the oil. When the oil is hot, it is quite runny, but as it cools, the oil takes on the consistency of a thick grease. Generally, a pound of good hemp bud will produce about 2 ounces of high-grade oil. Ingesting this amount of oil over a 2 to 3 month period is enough to cure most serious cancers.
I started taking it because I ended up with chronic pain from a blood clot from my last operation, and there was nothing they could give me except standard pain pills, which I can't take because I get addicted to them right overnight and they're just too hard on my system. Every pain pill I've ever tried has caused me nothing but grief, and like I say, if I take them for more than a week, then I'm looking for them all the time. So I call that addiction, I don't know, whatever medical term you want to put on it. But they destroy me is what they do, because I got no strength, no energy, no pain for a few days, but then the side effect of pain pills is pain. But yes, I'm definitely a believer, because I'm walking proof of it. And don't we all deserve to feel better, right? Without destroying ourselves? I think it's terrible the amount of drugs that they shove into everybody, and We're the little robots, right? We're told to take that, so take that, doesn't matter. They just tear me apart. I mean, they're just not good for my system. Well, they're not normal, right? I mean, anything that starts working against you, and of course you ask them, what does this actually do? They never really know. It might help you. Well, you're talking about your life or death. Might's not good enough. I'd ripped all the muscles off the bone years ago. Well, four-wheeler, pulling it out of the mud, but yeah. Anyway, like I say, I get cortisone shot for it, but it still wouldn't work. I could grab it, pull it down, but to just reach back and do something like that, it just didn't want to go there anymore. I was told by the doctor that would never come back in my shoulder because it had literally ripped the muscle off of the bone. He said it'll get to the point where you can use it, but that's always going to cause you trouble and never work right again. That was his opinion. And he was right up until I started taking the oil.
Eric's father got diagnosed with fast-acting lung cancer and was given 6 months to live. And because I had recently read about it, I said, well, what about hemp oil? And just to see what his reaction was. And so maybe, you know, I said, have you read about it in the paper? Like, maybe we should talk about it.
Once I found out that it would work on this, I said, well, sure, I'm willing to try it. And never go back now, I can tell you that. After talking to Rick, he said, you know, it works on chronic pain. I said, well, I'm your candidate to try that because I've lived that since '99, every day of my life. You know, I go to bed with it, I get up with it. If I wake up in the middle of the night, it's there. It just never went away. Now I get a full night's sleep. I feel good when I get up in the morning. The pain's never back the way it was.
I always knew that marijuana was medicinal. I knew it worked for glaucoma.
Oh, my eyes, my glaucoma. Yo, gee, I forgot about that. Yeah, glaucoma, I have that bad. Mine was up to I don't know if you people understand too much about glaucoma, but anyway, the pressure in your eyes, that's what it is. One eye's down to 14 and the other one's 16, from 31, 32. I feel a lot better. 10 times better. I get no pain in my legs now. My eyesight's improving, and I'm proud of my face. It's wrinkled up, but I ain't got the big holes in there, like I had, and stuff running from them. I feel much better. I don't know what I'd have done if I hadn't come across Mr. Simpson. I might not be sitting on this chair today.
I take it twice a day, usually in the morning and at night. So, and out of that, well, like I say, a drop is all I take. And that's all you need. Because, I mean, I don't have anything terminally picking away at me, right? Well, that I know about. Anyhow, I don't figure I ever will have now.
After I used it, and it did clear up these symptoms I had, 20 years younger. Physically, 20 years younger.
It is taking that pain out of my back, that aching out of my back that I had from those 3 back injuries that I've had for so long, and just having that pain out of my back, it has changed my life. I can sleep again. I can lay down again. I can sit up and get in a chair. I mean, there were so many nights that I laid there at the kitchen table at 2 o'clock in the morning crying because this aching, you know, it just wouldn't go away. And to have that gone in itself was fine with me. Like anything else, I said, okay, I can handle anything else. I'm rid of this now, you know, type of thing. And it's a God's blessing.
It eliminated the pain enough that I can function perfect. The pain I have left is well within tolerable levels. I mean, we all have pain, right? I mean, especially when you get older. I'm 52 years old. I'm not as... And like I say, I've had 4 open heart surgeries. That slows you down a little bit. But I can't complain about my lifestyle right now and what I can do. I'm just happy as can be. Because I never thought I'd be able to do it. You know, I've been told by the medical profession years ago that I'd only sit on the couch and watch TV. That I didn't have enough parts left to go. I mean, I've never had any side effects. No problem that way. Seems to control my weight, though. I used to have an awful problem gaining weight and it going away, gaining weight. Now my weight just stays dead and that's all the same. And I don't know what that is. I think it just helps your body work with itself.
The reason I think that people have a hard time believing what the hemp oil can do is because they've been brainwashed by our system. I mean, we've all seen the commercials.
You know, hemp, marijuana is bad. Well, I would like someone to prove, show me where the bad is. Who died from hemp?
It's like everyone, you hear about it, you meet the people that have done it, but everybody, it's like, I guess if you see, in some ways, for the people, I guess, to believe in hemp, it's like if people say they saw a UFO. It's seeing is believing. So for me, that was, like, just incredible.
I'm just happy to be alive, you know, because there was nothing the doctors to do, but they just said, go home and die, more or less, you know. They didn't come out and say that, but they just said there was nothing they could do for me. I didn't really want to come down here, but my better half forced me to come, and I did, and that's the best move that I ever made in my life. You know, that's when things changed. You know, I started eating, I started feeling better. I walked out of here with hope, which I didn't have when I first came in, but I walked out of here, I had all kinds of hope, and prayed to God, and things worked out, you know, and the hemp oil just started working.
The government and the medical system do not want you to have the ability to cure your own diseases. These people don't want anything to change. They've got the big cars, they've got the big bank accounts. Well, we're happy the way it is, and now that we know about this oil, well, yeah, we can afford to go buy it because we're the ones that make the big money. They don't give a damn about the poor people.
There seems to be a lot of things that this can help, and it's just a sin we're not allowed to find out more for the sake of the ungodly dollar. I mean, that's what it always boils down to, right? I mean, people should have a right in this country to keep themselves well. And I mean, that should be a basic right. I thought it was supposed to be, but I'm finding out not so much.
I went to the doctor in Amherst, and I got and told him what I was doing. He froze right in his tracks. I told him a story that I heard that it would work. And I said, will it work, will it not? Well, he said, Cecil, you have to be honest about it. He said, I can't confirm it, and I can't deny it.
There's so many people out there suffering with so many diseases that this works for. And at nights I don't sleep very well because I think of those little children that are being poisoned and that are being fed chemotherapy and radiation and infants. This is so horrible.
Find out how good it is. Well, I know it's good, but listen, it's more than just for cancer.
If you have a serious medical condition, such as cancer, what right does anyone have to tell you that you cannot use hemp medicine?
Take a look of me 6 months ago. I was up and down, like, and I had no energy, had nothing to do. Like now I want to live. I want to live. You know, God put it out there for us. Why are we using it? Why are we denying this to somebody that's going to save someone else's life?
If people would just realize how much this medicine can help them, the world would be a better place.
This is a miracle medicine. There's no way around that.
I got nothing else to say, but, you know, it's good. It does the trick. It works.
I just know that the hemp oil works. I really can't explain. It works. It works. That's all I can say. You know, like, it works. God love us.
All these people, how do you not believe this? I mean, it's right before your eyes.
In January '07, my father came to stay with my wife and I because his cancer had become unmanageable. He could not stay alone anymore. At this point, the man had fluid in both lungs, couldn't even hardly walk around. His breathing had gone down to 70%, and he was on his last legs. We started him on the treatment. Inside of 3 months, the cancer was completely gone. In between that, he got nothing but better. The man improved every day from the time he started the oil until he went to a maintenance dose in March.
When I went over for my CAT scan, and I was going down the hallway and I ran into a nurse, and she was shocked
when she seen me. I wish I would have had a camera, because take the picture of her face was worth $1 million. And I went over to get the CAT scan. I wasn't going to go, but I went over because I wanted to make sure. You know, like we always had that little doubt in your mind, and the results were I am cancer-free. And I was the happy boy.
Cancer and disease today. A dose of reality. I was born in 1949. I am a child of the 50s and 60s. When I was young, cancer and many other medical conditions that are so prevalent today were quite rare. When my cousin David was diagnosed with cancer in 1969 at the age of 22, I thought that he had been misdiagnosed. Could a man of this age have cancer? 3 years later, in 1972, Dave died from cancer at the age of 25. My cousin was the first person that I knew directly that died from cancer. I am not saying that people did not die from cancer in the 50s and 60s, but cancer at that time was rare enough that I did not know anyone who had died from this disease until my cousin died in 1972. I spent most of my working career employed with the hospital system. From the 1970s up until I was injured in 1997, I watched the exponential growth of cancer and many other conditions that had been considered rare. Every year that went by, the number of people that were stricken with these diseases continued to increase, and so did the death rates. During all these years, I often wondered what was causing people to succumb to these diseases that were increasing at such an alarming rate. In the last few years, through my research, I have come to the conclusion that this increase in disease is caused by our environment. In our everyday lives, we are surrounded by chemicals, poisons, and carcinogens that are wreaking havoc with our immune systems. Even our food supply, in many cases, is not fit for human consumption. Look at the hormones that are added to our meat. How could this be considered healthy or safe? Seemingly innocent products that we use in everyday life are full of carcinogens and other contaminants. In my estimation, about 90% of cancers are caused by our environment. Over the last few decades, the number of people affected by diseases like Crohn's, diabetes, allergic reactions, etc. have skyrocketed, and no one is doing anything to curb this trend. Through my research into hemp medicine, I have discovered that properly made hemp oil is a cure-all that could at least give the public a chance to ward off these illnesses. Throughout man's history, hemp has always been known as man's oldest and safest drug, and hemp is non-addictive. Why is the public being denied the use of this medicine by our system? The law that was put in place in 1923 restricting hemp's use was a total sham. Laws are supposed to be put in place to do the greatest good for the greatest number. In hemp's case, this did not happen. This law was put in place to please big money so they could increase their profit margins. What do they care if the Canadian public suffer and die due to this drug's restriction? The Canadian people put their faith and trust in our political, medical, and legal systems to do the right thing for the public. Unfortunately, to date, this issue has been ignored. We are in the middle of a cancer epidemic. To whom can the public turn? In the name of the Canadian people, I am asking this system to start working for the citizens of this country and to end this needless suffering and death. I don't care if you work in our political, medical, or legal systems. Do you not have loved ones who have died for no reason? Why does our system support laws that are so obviously corrupt? What chance do any of our loved ones have if changes are not made? To me, in life, there is only right and wrong. To deny the truth about hemp medicine is a criminal act against the Canadian people. To continue hemp's restriction in medicine could only be termed insanity. If no one gives a damn or cares for nothing but themselves, what future does mankind have?
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Since my injury in 1997, our medical system, political system, and legal system have all done their best to keep me from the one medication that helps my condition. The simple fact that denying hemp's use to me could lead to my death does not seem to matter to them. In Canada, we have what is known as the Marijuana Access Program. Even if a person is lucky enough through this program to be granted a license to possess hemp, they are not allowed to collect resins or to make the essential oil that contains the real medicinal value of the hemp plant. You can smoke hemp joints till the cows come home, but it is highly unlikely that smoking hemp will cure your cancer, and the government knows it. The public have been led to believe that all you have to do is see your doctor for a prescription for hemp. The reality is that you have a better chance of winning the lottery. There is approximately only about 2,000 people in this country that have a license to possess hemp. After over 2 years of dealing with our legal system, I am truly sickened. What chance does an ordinary man have when laws and the people that enforce them are denying reality? During my charter challenge, about 4 dozen sworn affidavits from people who had used hemp oil for many different medical conditions were presented. These affidavits were dismissed as if they meant nothing. 9 months later, at my Supreme Court trial, I had 10 patients and 6 doctors ready to testify, but none were allowed on the stand. When you have people who have been cured with terminal cancer ready to testify, and doctors there to back it up, why would their testimony be disallowed? It seems that the justice system isn't looking very hard for a cure. Anyone can see the loss of revenue that the free use of hemp in medicine presents to the drug companies. But also, it is easy to see the suffering that hemp's medical restriction is causing. Are profits really more important than the health and welfare of the people who inhabit this planet? Presently, we here at Phoenix Tears are launching a worldwide internet protest to bring hemp back into mainstream medicinal use. Our hope is that many other websites out there and the public will support this protest to lift the restrictions governments have put in place against hemp's use. The future of humanity rests on the success of this protest. Get involved. Your life and the lives of your loved ones are at stake.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I've traveled down each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, I saw it through without exemption. I planned each charter course, each careful step along the highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, there was no doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. But through it all, yes, I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I had my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got, if not himself? And he has not to say the words he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. Let the record show I took the blow and